Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel. It's hard to get high achievers to talk about themselves and their successes and who they know and what they've done and things like that. But now it sounds like you have had some pretty high level exposures out there in your world with bigger companies, famous people, things like that. Give us lift the curtain a little bit and let us know where you've gone with this and who's been involved. Some of the experiences and some of the places you've gone with.
Yeah. You
mentioned Walmart.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. The companies, probably the top Fortune 100, have been very receptive to actually trying out this new methodology and experimenting with it within their own companies and things. So we've been pretty lucky. A lot of our clients are like ServiceNow and SAP and Walmart and Medtronic, just very large companies, and they're all doing different things with it. Some are doing customer service, some are doing pre-sales training videos, some are doing like Walmart did the financial mentor. They also did a program called Culture Keepers, where they interviewed, we actually did a digital recreation of Sam Walton. So that's a different thing. So Sam can actually talk. Sam can preserve the culture when the employees are being trained. He can tell them this himself.
Yeah,
from that. And
successful company. That's
for institutional memory for some of these big companies. That's a huge deal. Be able to have people that have been on your board since the beginning, or the people that ran your company, or the founder of your company. To pass on their values, pass on all the stories in their own words.
Yeah,
it is.
How do these companies find you? How do they find you, or do you go looking for them? Like your marketing department right now.
Actually, we've been very, very lucky that most of it's been inbound.
Is that right? Word of mouth.
Yeah,
already.
Word of mouth. So it's either they read an article. We've had a lot of PR written about us. Thank God. But
how did you get that? How did you get that PR?
Just our PR company that we have just keeps asking reporters if they want to write about it. And
so you have a PR company.
Yeah.
How long have you had the PR company?
Since the beginning.
Really?
Yeah. That we knew from the very beginning, since we didn't have a lot of marketing dollars to spend on paid advertising.
Yeah.
We knew we had a great story. The founding of our company, the team that's worked on it, and our whole trajectory in starting StoryFile, we have a great story. So we knew that PR would be the least expensive, the best way to actually get the word out, with regard to what we were doing, and that you could do this and get the word out about educating people that this is coming, and you can record yourself so that other people can talk to you, and you don't have to be there. You don't have to be present, and it can apply across the board. For example, we had a gentleman that was diagnosed with ALS, and he started his own foundation. But we did the interview with him, but we did it a little bit late. So what he wants to do is he's giving a StoryFile Life account to everyone who is newly diagnosed with ALS.
Oh.
And it also, when you're diagnosed with these diseases, and I know from experience, the first thing that you ask yourself is, oh my God, how do I tell my family? What's next? What can I expect? And your doctor's not going to be able to answer all of these questions. You want to talk to someone who's actually gone through it.
Yeah.
So he's done this story file, and he has other doctors that specialize in ALS, and he talks about his own experience. And these doctors talk about the more technical questions that they answer. But it's an amazing story file for someone that's newly diagnosed with ALS on what to expect, what happens, what can I do to, what should I be thinking about?
Right.
All these things. You want one of the questions, you probably were going to get to ask me is, what were the things that you know now that you didn't know to ask questions about? Because when you start something new, you don't know what questions to ask even.
There you go.
You
There
don't
you go.
know what you don't know. So
Right.
it's really, really difficult, and we think that story files can help people in so many different ways with that, because you just kind of, the more conversations, the more questions you ask, the more you trip on, like you said in the beginning, like someone's going to trip on
Right.
some kind of gem of evidence, and that'll
Yeah. We
change
have a we have a core uh, similarity in
everything.
uh, the thinking I had behind doing this podcast, which I didn't need nothing, something else to do, but they I'm a master of doing things you don't make money on, and so why don't I start a free podcast? That would be great. But I get it's worthwhile for me because I get exposed to positive people. The world is full of so many negative SOBs, and
Yeah, yeah,
they seem to be in the spotlight. And you know, uh, the positive people doing positive things like what you're doing, you never hear about. It's like we hear it's a cliche that you don't hear the good news, but where so much of the good news is for people like yourself that no one knows. The whole. You're not going to find it on the media or this, that, and the other. But
mhm.
maybe you hopefully people will find out. But there's so many
Yeah,
amazing people out
there
there
are, there
with
are.
new idea and they're gung ho and they're doing things. So that's the payoff for me. But in the nature of my business, I evolved. We had a financial services business
Mm,
and opened up offices all over the country in
mm,
U.S. and Canada. And so over the years, you only have so many hours in the day. Over the years, there's so many people. I evolved into where I'm coaching the $1 million earners because there's all, again, you can
yeah,
only talk to so many, return so many phone calls.
right,
And so I went for decades saying, wow, I just know there's a ton of people who
right,
would love to be eavesdropping on these
right.
conversations, even
Absolutely.
if we're just talking about the weather,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're going to hear things.
yeah,
And the deal is, if there is a secret, Heather, to moving up or to progressing and developing, is if there is a secret thing that you can spend your time on, it's getting around listening to or reading from people who are where you want to be.
right,
They're further down that road.
right, right.
And the advantage of that is like you said it, you
Yeah,
said it perfectly. You don't know what you don't know.
right,
You don't really know what questions to ask. As a
right.
result, you don't know what questions to ask. And the way you wind up getting this is why it's a cliche, but it's true. Greatness is caught and not taught because
Mm,
usually greatness comes from the last piece of the puzzle.
mm.
When you were learning the fundamentals, you got
Yeah,
all those in there and you
yeah,
apply them, you have some success,
yeah,
but you're not quite clicking on all the cylinders
right.
until someone comes in and you say, oh, I'd never
That's
heard that
it.
before. Thank you very much. And then boom, boom, you're off to the races. So,
Yeah,
it's like we don't know what they're missing. They don't know what they're
yeah,
missing. But
yeah,
I do know if they sit and are exposed to these conversations, and this
right,
is why I told you right from the beginning,
right,
story file, great idea, great concept. That's not what the main thing I was interested in. I was interested in the main thing is what you've learned and how you've developed
mm,
as a person, as a leader, in terms of being able to navigate life successfully, and that allows you to stay in stay firm and actually bring this product to the masses,
Yeah.
And if you have not developed, you don't know how to navigate life
Right.
correctly,
Right.
and how to work things out, coach yourself to when you're like
Mm.
knocked backwards. It's like, okay, how
Or
am I going to get
have
myself?
I've been fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of really amazing people as well, and you get
Yeah,
great advice, and you can talk to a lot of people around you. Um, and knowing who to go to is almost as important as knowing what to ask. Um, because you're right, you only have so much time, and you only have so much bandwidth to listen to so many people. But I don't know. I've since I was a kid, again, I go back to it, is that I've always loved listening to people's stories and learning from them. And I always had this notion as a kid, even, that if I can learn from them what not to do or what to do, then I don't have
right.
to go through that. I'd
That's
be
exactly right.
better off. And it's
Exactly.
just but it's letting that, taking in those stories and really internalizing them and making them a part of who you are,
Right.
and your identity. And then you're right. You're made up of all of the experiences that you have in your lifetime. So just make
Yeah.
them, you
It's
know,
not a shortcut in the sense that you don't have to do the work. You got to do the work. You have to do
yeah,
the repetitions. You have to
right,
go, have so many times where, you do a belly flop and all.
right.
But the deal is, you can save, you can benefit from
Mm.
other people's belly flops
Oh yeah,
if you'll take the
absolutely.
time to listen to them, talk to them,
Mhm.
and you don't have to do all the belly flops yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of it, you have to realize exactly how your situation might be slightly different as well.
right. Yeah.
But it's it never hurts. It can't ever hurt, and having these conversations, if people had more conversations and listened more,
Yeah.
I think that everyone would be a lot better off.
See, it might be my hope for you now that
Mhm.
we uh we have covered some ground, and we got it Zoom recorded anyway, that you might want to include this in your own story file about yourself talking to you, that new grandchild that's getting ready to be born,
That's true.
about how you look at things and how you have navigated up to this point. So anyway, any last comment you want to send people away with as we wrap this up?
Be curious. Continue
Great.
continue asking questions. Everybody do their story file.
Yeah.
So, um, and if we can help you solve some problems and communicate better, and then we're here for you.
And how do they find you?
Storyfile.com.
All right. Thanks so much, Heather.
Thank you, Larry.
Enjoy the conversation, and good luck with that grandbaby.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.